Welcome to Before They Were, the podcast / time capsule / documentary where we drop in with incredible beings living their aligned lives during their time on this beautiful planet. We are your co-host, Los, aka River Flows, joined by my co-host, Tim the Magic. Thanks for joining us today. Enjoy the journey.
On today's episode, we have our dear friend Michael, who is one of my favorite people here in Austin, Texas. Today's episode, we dive into all things spirituality, religious texts and upbringings, the church, Jesus. It was a pleasure to talk with him on all of these fronts. He has a wealth of knowledge and some crazy experiences to share, and I think you'll really enjoy it.
Here's what you do.
All right, what do you do, bro?
Before Michael was.
Let's go, bro.
This is what you do.
All right.
You go in quantum meditations.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever done quantum meditations?
Like a meditation? But like you just in like a theta brainwave
Have you ever
state.
heard of quantum jumping?
Yeah, dog.
Okay.
I do it all the time.
I'm saying
You did this afternoon.
Yeah,
Okay.
bro. I'm doing it right now.
So quantum jump.
Yeah.
You quantum jump into the version of yourself that is the most fill in the blank.
I feel like you're being legit right now.
No, it's true.
I'm
He is
I
legit.
love this.
I am being legit.
So you're basically parallel. You're basically remote viewing a parallel reality, bro.
I go in and I have like a whole thing that I do with mine, but like
Whoa.
basically I go to this place that like is a defined place.
Oh shit,
And I go there, it's like this castle that I've like put together in my head and whatnot.
bro. This is like magic.
Literally,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Yeah.
You go there, you open this door, and you ask for, there's infinite versions of you inside this place. There's the most artistic, there's the most loving, there's the most whatever. They're all there. The most
Yeah.
violent, like they're all there.
Uh huh.
And you ask for the one that you're wanting to find, to step forward. And you look for them in this room and you'll feel it. You'll know when they come up because they're dressed a certain way, they feel a certain way, and like that's the one. And then you fucking merge with this
Dude.
being and you come back to your reality with this part of you fully embodied. So you come back as a painter, you come back as an artist, you come back as a poet, you come back as whatever,
Whoa.
and you'd be surprised the things that will come from it.
Wait, what's one of your? I'm curious. What's one of your most crazy experiences with that?
One of my craziest experiences.
Or like when you're like, oh, like this wasn't just like, you know.
I think the first time it ever happened to me, it happened without knowing that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
I just like went into a trance and
Classic.
yeah, classic trance.
Introduction. Boom, you're in a trance. Here we go.
I love this.
I went into a trance, and this was back when I lived in New Jersey, before I like knew I was a poet.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened my eyes and I was looking at this, like, I was looking at my reflection off of this lake, and I was a kid.
Mm.
And I can only be described as like this Native American kid, like some hundreds of years ago.
Whoa.
Looks up and he sees like this mountain, and I still have the picture in my head, like I'm on like this hillside and looking at myself. And the feeling of the kid was that he had not been allowed to do the things that his tribe, the men of his tribe, were out doing.
Mm.
Like they would go out hunting and they would say, "You're too young," or "You're too this," or "You're too that. Stay here." And the feeling was, I had resonated with that feeling because I had grown up sort of similarly, like my dad and them working on cars or doing something like, "Oh, you can't do this."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember like I was just like feeling like intuitively like, what's his name? And his name was River Flows. And I was like, damn, I'm gonna bring it back. And I'm gonna fucking live for that kid. And that's how I knew that like when I write poetry, it's channeling River Flows.
Whoa.
And that's your poet.
That's your poet name?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
You just make all this. So this is a good story,
No,
bro.
he didn't. I've heard this before.
That's
He didn't make it up. I promise
crazy.
you. I can attest to that. It's true.
Did you? So, sorry. I mean, all these questions, bro. So,
Are we interviewing?
I
you?
know. I just have one more question. Did you make
How
up
do you
this
interview a
quantum thing, or
podcaster?
did you like? Because
No.
this is like magic. I'm all about this stuff.
No, I stumbled upon this really old dude on YouTube who was like talking about quantum jumping. He was like
Gandalf.
very off the beaten path.
Classic.
And he's like, I think he's like 80 something now, but at the time he was like 75, and he was like, I just wanted to change my life. Like I had done one thing my whole life as a business person. I was like, I want to be a painter.
Dang.
And like quantum jumped into the version of himself that was a painter and became like a world renowned painter.
I'm so stoked
Like,
right now. You got me fired up right
literally,
now.
and like immediately, like he was just a world-renowned painter. He was like, you know how to do it. You have access to
Yeah,
all
just
the
a
versions
parallel
of yourself.
You just gotta
version.
hop into that line.
You just hop into that version. And belief, I think we've talked about belief,
Yeah.
right? Like belief, I think is the strongest thing.
You have to believe
Yeah.
it's real.
If you believe it's real, it
Yeah,
is.
it will.
Yeah. Well, that's what. Yeah. It's like if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
And there's so many different like teachings, like old teachings that back that statement up.
Totally.
Like if you have the faith of a mustard seed, it's like you just have to believe a little bit, like really truly believe like a little child.
Yeah.
Well, if you think, okay, so I think about this. So like, what is a person? A person is just, each person is the same consciousness in a sense, like filtered through different thoughts, feelings, and belief systems. And so it's like, but everyone's one consciousness, awareness, but filtered through a different filter, which is thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. So then it's like you're just filtering your consciousness through a different filter, then you come out as a new person. But I kind of see that. I've learned that, like, what I believe to be true is that we're shifting from parallel universe to parallel universe billions of times per second.
Yeah.
So in every single second, we're like literally a new person. We just feel like we're the same person, but it's like, no, we're like literally, and that's like through like, I think they show like a multiple personality disorder. Like they'll have, each personality has different like eyes or like even different like health problems.
That's like that movie Split.
I haven't seen Split.
I don't know if I've seen Split, bro. Ruin it for us.
All right, so
No. So we'll go watch Split after this.
If you guys don't do anything, we'll watch Split after this.
And Twilight.
We'll blow your mind. And Twilight.
And anything else.
We'll blow your mind.
I remember seeing trailers for Split,
Yeah.
and that's the same concept.
Dude.
I heard he did an amazing job.
You don't even know.
I don't know, dude. That's what I know.
I don't either.
All I know is that I don't know.
I literally don't know. So, okay. To start.
Yeah, let's go, bro. Let's
Before
pop.
Michael was.
Yeah. We like to ask the question and sort of like, there's no rhyme or reason to this, right?
Cool.
But like, where are you now? And interpret that however you want to interpret that.
Like physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Physically, I'm with you fellas right now. Where am I now? Ooh, so I can answer this however I want.
Yep.
You answer that however you want.
Okay.
And
So
don't mind me eating ice cream.
yeah, I thought it was a popsicle.
It's
a hybrid,
ice cream
bro.
popsicle.
All right,
It's like fudgicle, but ice cream.
So where I'm at right now is, I think I'm coming back to myself in like a new way. So, growing up, I had like a really fascinating like childhood, and I was like really into some pretty. Well, I was into the church, as you guys know, but within the church, and while I was growing up in the church, I got into magic, right, performance magic. And I love doing that, and I would just do it for everyone. I just love making people feel good, like do it for people in like the gas stations and stuff, like turning pens into like coins and giving it to people, and they're just like make their day. And along that time, I also got into like some like crazy supernatural stuff. I don't know if we've talked about it, like the healings and stuff.
I mean, just in case we haven't, let's.
You and I have talked about some of it, but
Right.
I want to hear something.
Yeah.
So we talked about some things the other day at the summer
Yeah.
solstice party, but like, tell us as though if we don't know.
Yeah, well, so I guess I might go off on rabbit trails. So
Here's the thing: there is no bounds. We
Nice,
ask
dude.
questions, you take it from here.
cool. Okay, so I've always been fascinated with magic. So I grew up in a normal like kind of conservative church. Got into magic when my parents were separated, and so I was living with my grandparents, and there was no like YouTube or video games. My dad didn't really let me watch TV much, so I was just reading books. So I was like, magic sounds fun to read about. So I started reading about performance magic, got into it, and that stuff gave me a feeling that I've never felt before in my entire life. Like I still don't think I've ever felt that. Like I used to take magic lessons from this dude, and I remember every Thursday at 7 p.m. I felt like I was like getting married or something, like the best feeling you could possibly imagine. Like it was like my 13-year-old self's it was like ecstasy. It was like so stoked because I knew I was going to learn something, and it was a feeling that I've never got before. It was absolutely supernatural feeling. Anyway, so I love magic, love that kind of stuff. I started competing in like conventions and shit, and and then so then after that, like I was deep in the church. I moved out to Vegas. As I was in Vegas after high school, after I graduated, I started questioning my faith a lot. And I was like, because I grew up Christian, and I was like, do I love God? Like I know I like God. He's cool. Like he's cool, but do I love God? Because I wanted to be authentic. I'm like, I don't think I do. I think I love the idea of him, And so that just started making me like question some stuff. So with the whole magic thing, when I ended up moving back home, but I got involved with this like mystical Christianity house church, and they were all about it was this dude who was in a church. He was a pastor, He's like, but God can't be contained in the box. Like, I don't really like how the rules are. I'm just going to start a house church. No rules. He didn't preach. He just was like, open forum. Anyone can do whatever. We're just going to play music and worship. And if someone wants to say something or just whatever, there's no structure. And so I started going to that. And I started seeing like real supernatural things happen. So I love magic. And that was my whole thing, is like, I don't ever see any like real mystical things happen in the church, but we all talk about it.
Right.
So yeah, hopefully this is congruent or like coherent.
Yep, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's just like I was in the church. I love the supernatural. I love magic, but that was also my other passion was truth and God. But I didn't see that stuff in the church, so I got this hunger. Had a few really crazy encounters where I saw these portals open up in front of me in like the middle of nowhere in Alabama, and like set me on this whole thing of like, okay, something's real. Went to this church, and they would like pray for people, and they believed God would still heal them. So I started praying for people on the street, and I felt broken bones move under my hand. My friend Jessica, she had scoliosis. I prayed for her in this parking lot of a Steak and Shake. I was that guy. I was like, cause she mentioned she had scoliosis, and I was like, God, pray for you. And she's
there.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so
okay, bro. So she's like, yeah, whatever. Let's go, Michael. And I pray for her, and nothing happens. And after a couple times, she just starts crying, like sobbing, and she's like, yo, I felt my spine move in my back. And she bends over, and all her pain's gone. And I was like, damn.
You're like, okay, thank you.
Right. So, anyways, I guess like to tie this together, I mean, I could go a lot of places with this on how I came to where I'm at now, but as I started questioning my faith and just finding myself, I actually lost my passion for magic because I lost myself, and I didn't know what to believe anymore. So I was kind of in this limbo. And over the past few years, it's all been coming back online, but I think in a more grounded, more a way that had way more perspective and understanding for what was actually happening. If that makes sense. That was like kind of like all over the place.
No, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You needed all that, you know.
Yeah. So it's just like I love magic. I love real magic, and I think like we were talking about like I think magic is changing reality through consciously changing your beliefs or your imagination. And that's what magic is. And how you do that, you can do that different ways in ceremony with different objects and sigils, but essentially the bare bones are all permission slips to get you back to changing your imagination on a very, very like visceral level.
Yeah. So when you said you feel like you're coming back to yourself now, what is I just want to...
Yeah. So like I'm getting passionate about performance magic again. Because like I said, just that one aspect, I used to do it for everybody all the time. And I just love people's lives got like changed. I'm not even saying that lightly. Like people will fall on the ground, would cry, would like, it was crazy. And I stopped doing it, and I'm becoming more lighthearted again. I think I got kind of serious. I was in a really like toxic relationship a few years ago, and trying to figure out my life, and I like stopped doing it. And that's all coming back to me now. Like, I just want to make people happy. And so there's that part. And also, like, like the real, quote unquote supernatural healing. That stuff's coming alive within me again, too. Like, that stuff was real. Maybe the lens I did it in maybe has shifted for me, but those experiences can still happen.
Yeah.
I just got to expand my box.
Yeah, for sure. And not everyone has that gift. To see or like even facilitate that side of the magic world. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I have no idea. But yeah, like I said, like I try to take it as a science. I try to understand how is it happening, as opposed to like is it God or an anointing or something. What does that look like for you practically when you look at it from like a science point of view? Well, so the reason I started I got to where I'm at now by questioning all that. But I also love it. I didn't throw away Christianity. I just threw away, in my mind, a false interpretation or a distorted interpretation. I don't mean that in a negative way. I think people are doing the best they can, just like I did, and I still am. And it's probably still distorted to some degree. But yeah, so I would see a lot of crazy things happen, and then I also wouldn't see sometimes nothing would happen.